Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport have loaned me the 2020 Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63. And you have seen this Jupiter Red GT63 on my YouTube channel in the past. We didn't do a POV view, but we're going to today. We're going to focus a little bit more on the interior. I'm going to park it inside of my buddy's shop here where I'm shooting the video, and we'll take a little bit closer look at some of the features with the infotainment system and the interior lighting, because a lot of people I've seen said on my previous Mercedes-Benz videos that I did the first couple this year that most people who do Mercedes-Benz vehicles videos do not cover the fact that it has the interior lighting. So here is, of course, the heart and soul of the vehicle, the 4-liter bi-turbo V8, 577 horsepower, and I'll put all the numbers on the screen. Now this is the GT, not the GTS, so it's not going to have the quickest 0 to 60, but I'm going to tell you what, as you'll see later in the video, I took a couple of friends out for a ride in this particular model, and they really enjoyed it. I think they were a little surprised at how quick this car is. Of course, being that it's an AMG, you're going to have the Pan-Americana grille right here. You've also got the grille shutters, which I don't have everything on right now to be able to see that, but you do have the grille shutters there that will open up at speed to, and even not necessarily at speed, but they will open up to let additional air in to the vehicle when you start the engine and when you are running down the road at a good clip. Now, here is the remote. Not really anything unusual, but you will find out that when you hit the button, of course, the power folding side view mirrors will fold in, I should say. You do have the indicator built into the mirror right there. And of course, here we go with the V8. That is a bi-turbo, of course, engine under the hood, which means 2 turbochargers basically. And it is 4Matic, which means it is an all-wheel drive vehicle. And you do have rear steering with the rear axle. I gave you a little bit of a picture, a couple of pictures I took of that. It's not real pronounced, but it is there. You also have a nice carbon fiber rear spoiler here. Very nice, kind of perfectly placed. AMG logo, GT63 of course, and this is actually called a rear liftgate, not something you normally would see on a car, at least not using that terminology. And I'll put the numbers on the screen as far as cargo space and what you can do with that. You do have a little bit of additional space underneath here, a little bit of a storage bin here that you can actually unfold to put things in if you want to do that. And of course, it is a power rear lift gate, as you can see right there. Now, one thing I must say here about the GT63 is the fact, as I hop into the back seat, even though this is a 4-seat vehicle, there is no center seat here. There is a lot of space back here. And like I said earlier, you've got the panoramic sunroof, very nice feature. Of course, you've got the air conditioning vents here that look kind of like turbines. I guess that's what they're supposed to look like. I think I said that correctly. I'm sure if I didn't, some of you people who love to correct people on YouTube will be happy to tell me. A lot of carbon fiber here. And notice the bolstering in the seats here. Of course, you've got the contrast stitching, Alcantara and leather, contrast red stitching, but I like the fact that unlike a lot of cars out there, fast, high-performance vehicles, cars, SUVs, whatever, you have more bolstering built into these seats, so that's nice. Obviously, if you're tracking the car, your rear seat passengers can stay in place a lot easier. And you also have a couple of USB ports right here. Very, very nice feature. And not quite sure what that is for, but I guess to just take that out, I'm not sure. Kind of an interesting little feature there. That does lock that in place. So if you want to take the cup holders out, kind of an interesting little feature there, that is what you can do. Now, you do have Bombay doors here, of course, for your center console. You've got a space here for a memory card, 2 more USB ports. Now, this is a 2020 model. So you won't find in this particular model the MBUX system. As we hop inside here, we'll take a quick tour of the interior. Of course, you do have a lot of carbon fiber accents here and more of the same Alcantara. You've got leather, you've got, of course, the red contrast stitching, the illuminated door sills, and the aluminum race style pedals. Just gives it a nice racy look to it, of course. And as we hop inside, I'm going to start the engine real quick. And you do have multiple driving modes, so depending on how you want the vehicle to sound and act, there are multiple ways to change that here. Let's go right here and we'll change to Sport Plus. Of course, you have Sport, you have Comfort, and there's actually Dynamic Individual. Select for Dynamic Select Individual, I should say. And before we get to too much on that, let's run over here. You can go here and make multiple changes, as you can see. Now, this is not the MBUX system in this particular model. Like I said, it is a 2020. So you won't find the MBUX system here. Not necessarily a bad thing. There is a heads-up display available if you want to use that. But I like the fact that here you don't have to go through a lot of different screens and go back and forth to change the overall look of the dashboard, as you can see. And I really like that. We're going to stick to Sport because, well, honestly, I just like the way that looks. And of course, you have dual zone climate control. You have, this is the shifter right here. So all you're going to do is just pull back on that. I guess that thought there was something behind us. That was actually a warning indicator that we were close to something. You do have a nice rear view camera, of course. And to put it into park, you're just going to push the P right there. And of course, you can change the driving modes like I already showed you right here with this little selector, and you'll see what's going on the screen. And of course, you'll hear the sound of the exhaust change as well. And if you wanted to turn off this center screen, the one of the two 12.3-inch touch, or screens, I should say, it's not a touch screen. Here's a little button right here. Push that, and it's going to turn off, or basically turn to a clock. A very interesting setting. Of course, you've got another USB port here, and you can close this if you want to. You have a cover right there. Everything is carbon fiber, dual zone climate control, and everything is controlled right here via the trackpad, depending on what you want to do here in the center. This is, like I said, not a touch screen, but the trackpad I've discovered is really not that terribly difficult to navigate your way around. Navigation, radio, you've got media, of course, phone. Basically everything you would expect here, but there is a lot you can customize here. You've got seats, dynamic select. Now you do have consumption right here. If you want to click on that, I like the fact that you can actually see telemetry as to what's going on with the vehicle. That is a really nice feature. And then light settings, we're going to go into that in just a minute here when we go into the shop. And of course, you have multiple settings here as well, depending on what you need. Hopefully that one right there that I have highlighted, you will never need that. But if you do, it's nice to know that it's there. Belt adjustments, just so many nice little features here to customize your GT63. But why don't we pull around into the shop and we'll take a look at what you can do with the ambient lighting. Okay guys, like I promised, we're going to take a quick look. We're going to go to Vehicle. We'll go down to Light Settings. And we will go to Ambient Lighting here. And as you can see, I've already got the lighting set up on this certain color here. Let's make some changes here and just see if we can get a little bit better color for everybody. How about that right there? As you can see, the lighting is really nice here. Now, and some of these colors are not as easy to see as others. I'll try and give you a view all over the vehicle here. Go down to another color right there. The blues always seem to show up a little bit better for whatever reason, although it may just be that the lighting isn't set as bright as it could be. Now, there's the green showing up a little bit. There are multiple options here for what you can do with the lights. It's, like I said, it's not quite like the MBUX system. It is set to its brightest, most bright setting, I should say. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but basically you can see what's there. From one side of the vehicle to the other, you've got lighting here on the side of the console, as you can see. I think you can hopefully see that where my hands are. Not too hard to see, hopefully. A little bit of lighting in the footwells as well, but basically you can just kind of see this, and it's just as easy as just basically running your finger on the trackpad right there. And as you basically go down, you don't actually have to push down on anything. All I'm doing is just moving the selection up, and as it goes onto the selection, you don't actually have to push down on the trackpad for it to select. You just select it like that, and there you go. And of course, you can change the brightness if you want to whatever, if you want it to be at 100% or whatever the case may be. But a lot of nice options there basically for anything you want to do. Of course, you have other options here that you can change, as you can see on the screen right now. I'm not going to go through and change every single thing because I think everybody is probably waiting for the most important part, the test drive. Okay guys, get out here and enjoy a little time with the test drive with the GT63. And I'm just kind of cruising along here right now. The road is nice and smooth. You will notice some road noise, but for me personally, if this was a vehicle I was planning to purchase, that would not be a problem for me. But one advantage to that, the fact that there's a little bit of road noise coming into the cabin, you can easily hear the exhaust note. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing like the exhaust from these AMG model Mercedes. I just love the fact that it just sounds so good. And it doesn't really seem to matter what it is, whether it's the 2-liter 4-cylinder or the 6-cylinder or this 4-liter V8. The bi-turbo V8, it just sounds so good and so throaty. There's just nothing like it. When you get into it in a vehicle like this, you know, a good comparison would be that of a Tesla or a Porsche Taycan, maybe. Let me downshift here. Let you hear those downshift crackles. But when you don't actually hear the roar of the engine, a really strong exhaust note, for me personally at least, it makes a difference in what it actually feels like. It kind of takes away from the visceral experience of driving a car like this, where you can hear the exhaust note. It just, when it plants you back in the seat, it has just a different experience to it. And tell me in the comments, I mean, if you're used to an electric vehicle, and I realize that regardless, when you have a high horsepower vehicle like the Teslas and the Porsche Taycan, depending on what models they are. Sorry, I just had to get that out of my system. You know, obviously they are screaming fast, but, and I need to put the visor down, but I don't want to take away from your view, guys, but obviously there's a big difference there. At least that's been my experience. Now, you feel very involved in the driving experience here in this GT63, which is the whole idea. The steering wheel itself is nice and tight. The steering, I should say, not the steering wheel, but the steering itself is nice and tight as you cruise through the corners. When I was out on the test drive with my friends earlier, we went through a pretty decent corner at a, well, rather high rate of speed, and it was very impressive in the fact that you basically experienced zero body roll. Absolutely incredible, and I expect to have that same experience up here. If you watch me regularly, I love this road, especially the corner we're coming up on. It really gives me a nice experience as to how good a vehicle handles And so we're just gonna cruise right through here. I am not taking my foot off of the accelerator pedal. I'm not letting up at all. Get to experience the 4Matic, the all-wheel drive. I'm even accelerating out of the turn a little bit there. I'm gonna tell you what, that is a lot of fun. Now, overall, the driving experience, depending on how you want the vehicle to drive and or ride, you have options on that, of course, and I've shown you that earlier. We've discussed that earlier with the multiple driving modes, such as comfort. And even though the sign right there says bump, I'm not quite sure what's different up here. There's nothing here that hasn't been here before, and nothing new, so I'm not sure about that. But anyway, even that little bridge has a couple of bumps on it we just went over. It's very, very smooth, and no big deal. Even though I have this vehicle in every form and fashion set to its most aggressive setting, it really is nice and comfortable. I could take a nice long road trip in this GT63 in Sport Plus and be perfectly comfortable. Really enjoy it. The bolstering on the seats, of course, is nice for the front and rear passengers, as I discussed earlier. It's just a super comfortable car. It used to be that to have a high-performance car, you would experience a rigid ride. Now, I will tell you, in case you don't know, here's the secret to that in a lot of cases. If you have a vehicle that rides pretty rough, it can be the tires. So depending on how hard or soft the tire is, in fact, in my experience, the run flats tend to be a lot more rigid. Go to another style tire that's not a run flat, you're going to have a better driving experience. Thanks to my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport for loaning me this GT63 for a second time. This is the second time I've had my hands on this year. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope I've shown you enough to let you see what this car can do. I know there's a lot of features that I didn't get to cover that I would like to cover but don't really have the right place to do it, such as, you know, 0 to 150. That would be fun. We could do a quarter-mile pull. There's a lot of different features here in this car, but trying to be kind of careful out here on these roads so that we don't get any tickets or anything or attract the wrong attention. But I appreciate all of you guys for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.